What's going on, guys? Well, we're already halfway through the year, so you know what that means. I'm even older. Fuck! Well, besides that, it's also time to count down my top 10 best movies of 2024 thus far. Why top 10 and not top 20? Because, to be honest, there hasn't been 20 movies this year that I've seen that I just absolutely loved or anything. And if you haven't already put together, this goes for any movie I saw it from January to June. Except for Sound of Hope, The Story of Possum Trot, because technically I saw an early screening of that in June, but didn't get released until July. But either way, the movie's not on this list. But before we get to my top 10, I have 5 honorable mentions, which I guess technically are my 15 through 11, so just think of it like that, I guess. Ordinary Angels. Still one of my biggest surprises of the year so far. It's got some great acting, it's really sweet, and again, I went into this movie completely cold and came out liking it so much more than I ever thought I was going to. Demon Slayer to the Hashira Training. Yeah, I know this ain't a movie, but I saw it in theaters, I like Demon Slayer a lot, and I just had fun watching it in theaters again, and I even said in my short review, I was like, yeah, I'm okay with seeing these, but they need to do a movie next. And what did they just announce? 3 new movies. It's a friggin' trilogy, the Infinity Castle trilogy, and I'm hyped as hell. I really liked this movie a lot when I first saw it, but I actually talked to a friend about it recently, and I started to think, I was like, yeah, was this movie as good as I thought it was when I first saw it in theaters? So maybe I'll have to watch it again. Maybe I'll like it as much as I did the first time. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Yeah, I should probably just say this right now. This list is going to be controversial as hell because there are movies I have higher on this list that you guys are going to be pissed I have higher, and movies that are not in certain spots and blah, 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 blah. But either way, Furiosa was still a really damn good movie, but just a little bit of disappointment for me, and it's not as good as Fury Road. The Fall Guy, a fun, entertaining love letter to the men and women that risk their lives every day for our entertainment, and I really hope this shows the Oscars that they need to have an Academy Award for Best Stunt People. So to start off this list is a movie that's kind of on here by default, but also keep in mind it's the best of the year so far list, not the best of the year list, and every movie on my honorable mentions list I gave a B+. Same goes for this movie, so I was like, okay, I don't have enough movies that I gave like an A- or higher, so I was like, out of these like B+ movies, which one did I enjoy the most? This one.
I'll see you in hell, baby. Would have gotten them all if they weren't so fast.
They're not moving, Anya.
I mentioned this a couple times since my review, but this was the happiest I've ever been in one of Regal's Monday Mystery movies, especially as a fan of the series. And probably one of the best things about seeing this movie as the Regal Monday Mystery movie was getting to watch it with non-anime fans. Or at least, I think. Maybe there was like 1 or 2 in the theater, I don't know. I actually did go back and watch the movie again during its theatrical run, and I'll admit that it did grow on me a little bit, and I still really enjoy it, but I still agree with everything that I said in my review. Yor's little subplot was stupid, it didn't need to be as long as it was, and the first act can be a little slow. But despite all that, I had a humongous smile on my face, and the movie is just a friggin' delight from beginning to end, and it's got a really fun and entertaining climax. But again, I don't see this movie ending up on my best of the year list come this December. By the way, is it weird that Anya makes me want to have kids one day? I mean, you watch that character, she's so friggin' adorable, and it's like, I would love to have kids like her someday. Even though it's a cartoon character, I know. Number 9 is a movie that just came out that you probably didn't see.
You're the man in charge.
I'm John. We're the Randalls.
I'm Benny. I like you guys.
This is The Bike Riders, and this movie deserves so much better. I'm just saying. But I can very much understand why this movie didn't do the greatest at the box office. It got buried by a bunch of other movies, and everyone just kind of forgot about it after it got delayed. But still, I found this to be a very enjoyable film with some really great performances. And again, it's basically a mob movie with a biker gang, and that alone should have you sold on the movie in general, and I hope this gets more attention once it hits streaming and physical media. By the way, I would just like to acknowledge that a friend of mine thought this movie was cute. That was the last word I was expecting anyone to use to describe this movie. I just thought that was kind of funny though. Number 8 is a movie that I didn't review, but I did see, and I didn't review it because I didn't know the right thing to say.
The Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my god.
Get in the car! Get in the car!
The movie that made me say, fuck this noise, I'm moving to Canada! It's also one of the most divisive movies of the year, and I can definitely see why. But I thought that this movie was actually really damn good and very intense. I thought the actors did a really good job, the cinematography was excellent, Alex Garland's directing was great, and personally, I found it to be kind of entertaining, but still pretty disturbing. I was also happy though that according to this movie, Missouri was one of the safe states, so I'm good. The only problem I had with the movie was probably the out of nowhere, out of place soundtrack that just kept popping up throughout the movie and would play rock music at the most inappropriate points in the film. But if you don't like this movie, good for you, have your own opinion, but I honestly do know people who just hated this movie. A friend of mine thinks it's one of the worst movies of the year so far. Number 7 is, let's say it together, Monkey Man!
Just one small ember can burn down everything.
Seriously, no one else thought of Monkey Man from Hey Arnold when talking about this movie?
Monkey Man is a directorial debut of Dev Patel, and despite my wishes, this is not the cinematic portrayal of the legendary hero from Hey Arnold.
Hey, Monkey Man!
Oh, well, he actually makes sense. I honestly don't have as much to say about this one that I already did in my review. The action is badass, the directing was great, and it's not exactly the John Wick type movie we were expecting, but it's still a great action thriller. That's all I gotta say. Alright, my number 6. Get those keyboards ready. You're gonna all be pissed at me. You better slam the shit out of those fucking keys like you never have before. Because I know a lot of you love the shit out of this movie. But my number 6 is this.
Look who's back from the dead. Now do what must be done.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
Yeah, I can already hear half of you yelling at me that I should have put this at my number 1 and that I'm stupid for putting it this low on the list. People, I still really like this movie. I think it's great. It's very much an improvement on the first one. I even own the 4K Blu-ray. I just don't love it as much as the rest of you seem to. On a technical scale, this is for sure one of the best looking movies of the year. The effects are great, the action is well done, it's much more fast paced than the first film, and Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya are really good in the lead roles. I just have a feeling that once I see the full picture when part 3 comes out, I'll love these movies so much more. But until then, I still really like these movies, but I just don't love them yet. Well, I think we can all agree that my number 5 is a much better vampire movie than Morbius.
Guys.
What the fuck is that thing?
We kidnapped a fucking vampire. A ballerina vampire.
Let's be honest, 2024 has been a rough year for movies so far, and none is more clear than with horror. With movies like Night Swim, Tarot, and The Watchers, it's definitely kind of a downgrade from the last 2 years, where we got great horror movie after great horror movie. But I think that we can all agree that the one exception so far this year is for sure Abigail. The all-around concept of this movie just grabbed me, and it gave me exactly what I wanted from it. A fun, entertaining vampire movie that is taken serious in some aspects, but is mostly just here to give you some laughs and some awesome imagery. The one thing that made me know that I was going to love this movie was a scene where she starts dancing with a headless corpse to rock music. How will that not have you sold on this movie? Oh, before some of you get all pissed at me for saying that this is the one good horror movie of the year, I have yet to see Late Night with the Devil. It didn't show at any of my local theaters during its release, and it's not on any streaming services yet, unless I want to pay. By the way, this would be a great movie to show people if they have no idea what it is. Just like let them go in blind and let them experience it for themselves. Oh, by the way, there are a few bits I forgot to record, so that's why I switched shirts. For my number 4, it's probably one of the most underrated movies of the year so far, and I really wish I got to talk about this one.
Are you good, dude? I need you to check my shit.
Oh my god, you're in labor. I don't know the medical term for this, but your vagina looks like it's yawning. Like.
So if you're unfamiliar with what this is a comedy called Babes, and I nearly missed this movie during its theatrical run, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because this movie is hands down one of the funniest movies I've seen this year. Which I guess ain't saying much because there hasn't been that many straightforward comedies yet that I could think of. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, I don't know. I've been hearing a lot of people call it Bridesmaids for pregnant women, and that's very much what it is. I like the connection between the two friends, they worked very well off each other, and I really can't think of any joke in the movie that didn't work for me. I don't know if I'd say it's as funny as something like Bottoms, but it is nearing that territory. If you missed this one in theaters, definitely check it out once it hits Blu-ray or streaming. Also, in my defense for almost missing this movie, none of my local theaters got it till like 2 weeks after its release, and then they only had it for like a week supposedly. Well, we made it to the top 3, and I'll start off with saying one thing. What a wonderful day!
Legend says ape and human lived side by side. Impossible as that may seem. Why do they hunt her?
She's smarter than most.
When I first reviewed this movie, I gave it a B+, but as time has passed and I thought more and more about the film, the more that I realized that not only do I love this movie, but this is still one of the strongest running franchises. Oh, and I bumped that B+ up from an A-. Director Wes Ball brought us a pointless but amazing fourth installment that is just as good as the original trilogy. I love this world, I liked Noah as the lead, Proximus Caesar is probably one of my favorite villains of the year so far, next to Dementus from Furiosa, and I just adored how they incorporated Caesar's legacy and how they showed the effects his teachings had on the apes years later. I still adore these newer apes films, and I'm really intrigued to see where they go from here. Alright, just like Dune Part 2, get those keys ready. You guys are not going to be happy with what my number 2 is. Because I know some people love this movie, and I know some people really did not like this movie, but you know what? I'm one of the people who loved it.
This was never a great city, but it was ours.
Are you with me?
Always.
Until Hilda van der Kooi took it from us. This is how she keeps control. They call it the calling.
They're all gonna watch and cheer as you die.
That's me, facing televised execution by breakfast cereal mascots.
So this is Boy Kills World, and look, I know that this choice is probably going to get me some flack, and some of you might be mad that this is much higher than something like Doom Part 2, but you know what? This is my list, not the right list. Have your own opinion. But when it comes to Boy Kills World, I'm freaking positive that this movie was tailor-made for me. It stars Bill Skarsgård, who plays one of my favorite horror icons. His character is deaf and mute, so his thoughts are voiced by H. John Benjamin, who plays one of my favorite cartoon characters, and it's just a live-action cartoon. Why wouldn't I love this? Unlike a lot of other movies that have a goofy premise and take themselves way too seriously, Boy Kills World knows exactly what it is and just has fun with it. If you're okay with a movie that doesn't focus too much on character or story and just goes crazy with some fun kills, and you're on board with Pennywise being voiced by Sterling Archer, then this is the movie for you. And personally, I'm okay with all of that. It's the perfect tone off your brain movie, and I just ate up the whole thing. I'm also calling it this year's Sisu because it's one that I can slowly see getting a cult following at some point. Now we've made it to my number 1, and I think most of you can figure out what it is. We've all seen it, we all love it. Just play the clip.
Look, we all have a job to do. I plan for the future.
You want to sit with us?
These girls are so cool. Well, we can't let her know we're excited.
I got this.
Joy, I'm just curious, maybe, I could
Thank you,
help.
not now.
That's not gonna haunt us for the rest of our lives at all.
One of the only box office hits of the year so far, this movie was everything that I wanted it to be. Just like the first film, this is a very human story, and I like how this time around, they made Riley more of a character, and she does go through a scenario that, let's be honest, we've all probably gone through once in our life, particularly at this age. The way that this movie tackled anxiety was also great, and I think everybody can relate with Riley as she went through having anxiety. I didn't mention this in my review, but the ending to this movie is hands down my favorite of the year so far. Aside from that, the animation is 10 out of 10. I mean, it's Pixar, so of course it is. I like how the mind of this character drastically changes throughout. It's funny, the emotions are still really enjoyable, and that's why it's my number 1 movie of 2024 so far.
What is that? It's the sarcasm.
Sarcasm?
Boy, are we so lucky we ran into you guys!
Boy, are we so lucky we ran into you guys.
Wow, those guys are jerks. Wow, those guys are jerks.
Oh, and if you're curious as to if I'm going to do a worst of the year so far list, no. Because I just have a feeling that my top 3 worst movies of the year so far are going to stay the exact same throughout the entire year, unless somebody pulls another My Big Fat Greek Wedding out of their ass. But if you've watched all my reviews this year, I know I haven't reviewed every movie, but out of the ones I have reviewed, you should probably know what the worst movie of the year so far for me is. And yeah, Madam Web is one of them, but everyone hates Madam Web, so of course it's on that list. But guys, let me know down in the comments below what your best movies of the year so far are, and let me know your worst list as well. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, subscribe to my channel, like this video, turn the notification bell, and I'll be back later with more reviews. See you then.